Hello, everybody. Sunday Adelaja here from Kyiv, Ukraine. There is a curse I want to talk about, a curse I want to talk about today, which is a curse for our nation. The topic of today is, of course, to my fellow Nigerians, and the issue I'm addressing is abandoned projects. So the topic of my speech is the curse of abandoned projects in Nigeria. It has become a curse because since I was growing up in the 70s and 80s in Africa, I've noticed that each time a project is abandoned, people lose jobs. There are unemployment everywhere. The children of those people who are working in those sites before, they become dejected and impoverished, and the wives take the grunt of the load upon themselves by going to the farm to try to compensate for their husband that lose their jobs. But the whole thing has become endemic and epidemic in our society today. Right now, the proportion of abandoned projects in Nigeria is gone beyond what the mind could imagine. As a matter of fact, Nigeria now holds the record, the world record of being the country with the highest number of abandoned projects all over the world. We are number one country with the abandoned projects. What does that tell us? It tells us of our irresponsibility. It tells us about our inability to maintain projects. It talks about our lack of stamina. It also talks about our lack of expertise. It talks about the weak educational system. It talks about our lack of engineering and mathematical solutions. It talks about our inability to raise engineers and scientists. So it's a whole lot of failures that are just there. It's not just about the abandoned buildings. It's about all the vices that are connected to that. It reveals a lot about us. It reveals a lot of our weaknesses, about our failures as a nation. So that's why if we are Nigerians, and especially people in government, we have to take this much more serious. It's not just a project issue. It's not just a contract issue. It's an issue of morals. It's an issue of values. It's an issue of failures, national character failures. These are the kind of things that should allow us to analyze ourselves, evaluate our character as a nation, and deal with the moral issues, the things that make us to lack the fortitude and the dignity and the integrity to be able to be responsible and take responsibility for things that we have already spent money for. And so these stories of Nigeria's abandoned projects is, people put it at different prices, different cost of how much money has been invested in all these projects. In one of the statistics that I saw, in all those abandoned projects, those abandoned projects will cost well over 12 trillion naira. 12 trillion naira. 12 trillion naira is about 2 times the budget of the country. So that is just lying dead. So 12 trillion naira is just like saying $12 trillion just put on site or on the field, just abandoned somewhere. That's a whole lot of money that could have improved the well-being of Nigerians. 12 trillion naira, that is the 6 trillion naira is our whole budget until recently for the whole country. Now you have 12 trillion just lying down, not being engaged, not being used to produce goods and services for the well-being of the people. That's why we're poor. This is another reason why we're poor. People are asking why we're poor. Well, this is one of the reasons why we're poor. Abandoned project is a curse. It has become a curse upon our people. So maybe some of you will be wondering, how many of such projects are there? Are they that are abandoned? Oh, there are so many of them that the statistics are just scary. The statistics says that there are, in every geopolitical zones of Nigeria, there are over 50,000, maybe 56,000, at least 56,000 abandoned projects in every zone. And if you know that there are 6 geopolitical zones that we have, and we have about, in the average, 56,000 not 56, 56,000. So 56,000 times 6, that's what you have, the amount of abandoned projects in Nigeria. Some people say, okay, it's just, that it's not as, maybe 56,000 is for the whole country. But there is another statistic that says for the whole country, it's about 400,000 projects that are abandoned in the whole country. So for the people who are saying 56,000 is just for the whole country, and that they go with the conservative number, they say that, well, the highest number of abandoned projects is in the southeast of Nigeria, where they say is 15,000. Let's even go with the minimum. Let's even say there are 15,000 abandoned projects in the southeast, and in the whole country it's only 56,000. It's still a lot. 56,000 projects. Some of these projects are capable of earning the country and the people of Nigeria so much income that it will be more than our whole budget. These 56,000 projects, these 56,000 projects that are abandoned, if they are all completed and they are working to full capacity, is enough to make Nigeria one of the top 20 countries in the world. So according to the conservatives that are saying that we only have 56,000 projects that are abandoned, they said, like I said, that 50,000 is in the southeast. Then south, we have, that's number 2. The number of abandoned projects, number 2 in south, even though I personally think that south should be number 1, because they have the money from the 13% that is given to them from oil revenue, and they don't complete all the projects. So, but anyway, they are number 2. There are 11,000 abandoned projects in south. Then you have 10,000 abandoned projects in southwest. Then you have 6,000 abandoned projects in northwest. Then you have 7,000 abandoned projects in north central. Then you have 5,000 abandoned projects in northeast, and 2,000 abandoned projects in Abuja. But there is, like I said, there is another statistic. There is a famous economist and a professor from University of Ibadan. His name is Adelaja. He believes that there are actually not just 56,000 abandoned projects in Nigeria. He says that there are 400,000 according to his own research. He said he has conducted research about this, that there are 400,000, at least 400,000 abandoned projects in Nigeria. If that is the case, it's just catastrophic. He said, especially in the last 2 decades, that the abandoned projects have just been horrible. So if 400,000, can you imagine what's going on in our country? And the minimum estimation that he has is not just about 12 trillion naira. He says that the abandoned project in Nigeria is about 200, maybe let's say 157 billion naira dollars, $157 billion. $157 billion is about let's say 1/5 or 1/4 of our economy. 1/4 of our economy. The whole GDP. I'm not even saying budget now. I'm saying GDP of Nigeria. So now, how do we resolve this problem? So let's talk solution right now. First of all, our government has to wake up. The National Assembly has to wake up, and we have to task. And if the National Assembly is not waking up, the National Assembly has to wake up and task the government, the ministers, to complete all abandoned projects. Number 2, if the National Assembly will not wake up and task the government to do that, then the civil societies and the pressure groups all over the country should arise and demand from the National Assembly and from the government to complete all these abandoned projects. And the citizens, after all, are the ones suffering, and the citizens are the owner of the country. So we as citizens, we should begin to raise our voices. The next point, I think the next way we could tackle this is for the media organizations, and personally, and for responsible citizens to begin to raise their voices and begin to shout and scream that these abandoned projects must be completed. Now, let's now go to technical reasons why these projects are being abandoned and how we could resolve them. Of course, one of the reasons why these projects are abandoned is because of the failure of the poor construction, just some causes of failure because of poor construction. Some of the reasons for poor construction is because the contractors were not well paid. So that has to be taken charge of, taken care of. And second, another reason for poor construction is because they are using unskilled laborers to do these constructions. A lot of our artisans are not properly trained and they are not professional enough. So we need to also raise up the professional level of our artisans and of our engineers. And second, another reason is because the engineers that have been produced from our universities are not responsible. They are not good enough. Some of them are not just good enough to become engineers, and some of them, even after they have become engineers in paper, they just sit in the offices and they don't go out to actually do the dirty job. So these are some of the reasons why all these projects are abandoned, have been abandoned. So lack of expertise is a major reason. And of course, because of lack of expertise from the side of the engineers, the experience also, they lack the experience to maintain. Even at the time when the normal professional foreign expatriates have constructed the edifices, our people don't have the experience to maintain the system. So, and because we don't have these engineers with the experience and with the capability to maintain the projects just break down. And of course, yet another reason is because government normally thinks that their own job is just to give out the contract. Once they give out the contract, they are just waiting for the day of commissioning. And once they commission a project in Nigeria, everybody just rejoice and begin to clap for them. They're going for the next election. But you see, in normal culture, in normal climes, you will see that any project that is completed must have a system of supervision. Nigeria as a whole will lack this. We don't have this ability. It's not part of our culture to have a system of supervision. A system of supervision whereby there are people who are employed, and on daily basis they are supposed to be monitoring and supervising even the completed project. Sometimes we do supervision in Nigeria, but it's just supervision before it's done, before the job is done. Once the job is done and the project is handed over, most people do stop the supervision process. But there are supposed to actually be people who are employed to be supervisors. And that is one of the reasons why these projects are abandoned, because if there are no ongoing supervision, the thing collapses, and then that's it, because of supervision. Another reason is because we don't have, professional operators, people who are operating the companies and the industries that are handed over to us by this expertise. They are not, they are not professionals. So they just do something, they do some missteps, and the whole thing collapses. Of course, a major reason for our abandoned projects is lack of technology or poor technological choice. So our people, most of the things that are working in Nigeria or that are built in Nigeria are imported technology. We are not mature enough. We don't develop our own technology, and that is a major crisis. The education ministry needs to take this seriously. The science and technology ministry needs to take this up seriously. The technology institutes and the universities need to take this up very urgently, and that's why we have operational malfunctioning. Because another reason for the failure is because of operational malfunctioning, and we cannot operate the system that are left to us because we don't know the way they were built. And if you don't build something, you could hardly maintain it. And of course, we still have a problem of maintenance culture. If you are a part of Nigeria, or you have been in Nigeria before, you will see that maintenance culture is a big problem. People call it maintenance culture, but it's actually lack of long-term sustainability culture. We don't have long-term sustainability or maintenance culture. Another problem is because after a project is completed also in Nigeria, most politicians just say, hands up, well, go and get a job. People go out there and get a job and something, but they don't know that we still need to be putting it in our budget after that. Most of the budget, the way Nigeria budget is set up is that they put the money for the project itself to be completed or to be built, but they don't also give another budget for the project to be maintained. Like, for example, I was in Germany recently, and I discovered that all the projects that they have there in that country, 20% of the cost money for building it is also being set aside every year to maintain the whole thing that has been built. Up to 20%, from 5 to 20% of the money that was used to build the whole thing is still being put aside for the maintenance. But we don't have that. So that is another problem. And that is a major problem because it leads to lack of availability of sufficient resources, lack of funds to keep the whole thing going. And of course, we also, another major failure, or the reason why our projects fail is because we don't, project management training and support is lacking in our country. I spoke with a young man the other day, I interviewed him on my show here, that says that we only have 2 or 3, no, maybe 3, less than 10 project management centers, and they are not even on government level. They are just private, individual-based training centers for project management. So project management is a new profession, and especially in Nigeria. It's not yet taken off in Nigeria yet. But we need to urgently develop a profession that is called project management and begin to train people from universities and colleges of education and polytechnics to become project managers, so that project managers could be able to, project managers could go and help us put things in order. So it is project managers that we need to do the work of inventory and to do the work of maintenance culture. Now, so what are that are the technical reasons and technical solutions that I've recommended here. But let's talk about political solutions. So what are the political solutions that could be given for resolving this problem of abandoned projects? Personally, if I were the president of Nigeria, or if I were in the government, I would recommend that anybody that is elected as a representative or a senator, either is a state senator or is a national senator, or you talk like if you are a governor or something like that. If you are an elected official in Nigeria, you must take upon yourself at least 10 abandoned projects and do anything you want as a politician to go and find money to complete them. If you are a politician, you are a senator in Nigeria, or you are a House of Representative member, take 10 projects from your local government or from your vicinity where you come from, go abroad and go and look for investors. There are no lack of investors all over the world. Go all over you are politicians, that's your job. Go and do politics, go and use your position as a politician to at least take care of 10 projects that have been abandoned. Go and attract investors, either from Nigeria or from Africa or from Europe, from America, from Latin America, from anywhere you can. If you are a politician, if you don't want to get involved in restoring and resuscitating the economy of the country, don't go into public office. If you are in public office, President Buhari must do this. Charge all your ministers, and if you are a minister, you must take responsibility for the oversight of at least 100 projects. Every minister must take oversight of 100 projects to make sure that before he leaves his office, they are completed. If you cannot complete those 100 projects, go away. And if you are a politician, you cannot take responsibility for at least 10 projects and make sure that they are completed before your 4-year tenure is off. You will never be, you are blacklisted. You will never become be elected again. Now that sounds draconic, but this is if you want your country to function, we need a strong leader that will be able to demand such from our so-called politicians. So attracting investors by another way we could attract investors. You know, one time I went to New York and I discovered that in the center of the city, they used to call them the hood, and the government of New York, this was in the 90s, they were giving out buildings for $1. A whole building in the center of the city. They said, anybody that is ready to take it up for $1, just make sure that you renovate it, and it must be of this standard, and it must be this and this. And this is how they restore for free. or just for free, or you don't pay rent. So all these abandoned projects in Nigeria, what I would advise the federal government to do, and we have a minister in charge of trade and investment, we have a minister in charge of finances, we have a minister in charge of economy. Why can't you do this? Make a full list of all our projects that are abandoned, a total inventory, how much they are going to cost, what are the advantages, do a whole total inventory of them and put them in the world market and tell everybody to come and take them for free. Even for free, but they must, in between the next 2-3 years, they must make them functioning, and they must make sure that they are functioning at 100%. If they could take that responsibility upon themselves, go ahead and let's do that. Let's get all these companies, even if they are 56,000 alone, let's get them operating again. It will just turn our whole country into a big factory. It will turn our whole country into just, into a working economy. We will be able to restore our economy this way. Another way to do this is to get in touch with Nigerians in diaspora. There are a lot of Nigerians in diaspora that are working in different areas of the economy. Some of them are experts or specialists in some of these areas where these industries are abandoned or these projects are abandoned. Some of them will willingly bring in investors, or some of them will put in their money, or some of them give it to them even for free if they are Nigerians. Let them take them, or just with the contract that they must get them to work and employ as a certain amount of people as employees. So the amount of money that could be raised just by resuscitating all these abandoned projects could make Nigeria's economy one of the top 15 economies in the whole world. Can you imagine if another $200 billion or another $500 billion is added to our economy? It will make us to just explode our economy. I mean, we could just restore our country. Is anybody listening to me? Is anybody hearing me? How I wish that some people in the government and some politicians will listen to this speech and take action for the love of God, church and nation. Peace.